confirmation, but as I'm going to assume that we're live. So anyway, hey everybody, Josh Searts in a World Alternative Media here, and we are joined by Kingsley Edwards, CEO and founder of Float.app. And today we are going to be, once again, I think this is the 5th night we've done it, breaking down the live protests, multi-streams across the board throughout the United States, possibly elsewhere, because things are really starting to heat up. Even in Mexico, where I am, a cop killed a guy for not wearing a mask the other day, though some say there might be more to the story. We don't know yet, but Guadalajara is now burning too. So, you know, it's a whole world has to join in on it. Athens, Greece, they firebombed the embassy. There's huge protests in Paris and in Madrid. It's all over the world, but we're going to be focusing as much as possible right now tonight on the United States. So let's go to the multi-stream there, Kingsley.
All right. Great to be joining you again, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. For those just joining us, hit that like button and share on social media. We're going straight to the multi-stream here. If Kingsley get there we go.
There we go.
All right, so we have nobody watching yet, apparently, after 1.5 minutes. So hit that like button and share on social media, because we are shadow banned. And this is what we're witnessing across the United States right now. And, you know, a lot of people are saying this is a psyop. What I do find weird is that every city in the world suddenly has these riots. A lot of it is just influenced. A lot of it is just people virtue signaling, but a lot of it is legitimate because people have been locked in their freaking homes now for months. They've lost their jobs. Everyone's impoverished. No one has a job. No one has money. Everyone was forced into kennels like cattle. And then all it took was a little thing to happen, even if it was a big thing to a lot of you. It was like a little push of the dominoes that would lead into an uprising. And of course, the uprising is legitimate. It's up against the government. But of course, what did people do? People, well, not people, the government, the police instigated. They misled, they misdirected it into something else. The media is showing one side or the other, left or right, racial issues, rather than focusing on the real problem of government. So we're going to be going into that and more tonight. But anyway, we're going all over the United States to look at what's happening on the ground. We've caught some unbelievable riots and protests over the last several weeks, or the last week, I should say. It's 10 days after George Floyd died, by the way. We have 2 people who have written in the comments so far, so that really tells us we're doing well here. YouTube's incredibly shadow banning us, so make sure to hit that like button and share on social media. We have 23 people watching. It says hello to Beastmaster X, who's writing in the chat. Hello to Contra Fiddle Chris, and hello to Mads Hansons over the last it's unbelievable how bad we are. There's like, it's showing almost nobody watching right now, but nonetheless, we will not give up. YouTube or Facebook told me today that they're going to be taking down my account soon. They said possibly impersonating someone or sharing something that they shouldn't have. And there's no way to find out what posts they're talking about. They're just like, yes, something you said was wrong. We're not showing you what it is. So just stop talking, or else we're going to take down your account. So our days are numbered here on YouTube. So make sure to find us on Float.app and BitChute as well. It's all linked below in the description, and I hope you guys check that out. Anyway, if you're just joining us, we're bouncing all over the country. We're extremely shadow banned. That's why we're 4 minutes in and only have 47 people watching, because no one gets notified anymore. Meanwhile, a channel with 1,000 subscribers will have 3,000 viewers watching live on these protests. But, you know, that's the way it goes. When you speak the truth, they don't want you to be heard.
And today I am actually monitoring.
Anyway.
Oh, sorry. I think we have a little bit of delay between me and Josh. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, you said that while I was in the middle of it. But so I wanted to hear what your thoughts were on what we're witnessing in the United States across the border right now, because there obviously is instigators like the police. There's evidence that they've left bricks in certain locations. There's videos of them breaking windows of parked cars as they walk down the street. Those videos are being taken down by social media across the board. But obviously there's a legitimate anger, too, with hopefully people focus on government and not turn it into a racial issue, which the media wants. But what do you think, Kingsley? What do you think is going on here?
Yeah, it seems to be very interesting. Also, today was George Floyd's memorial service, which I tuned into for just a brief minute. I saw Al Sharpton giving a speech, so that's what made me tune out pretty quickly, because I saw that that he was involved with this. And you know, I forget all the background as far as Al Sharpton. I just know he's a bad guy and he's done some pretty ridiculous things in his past.
Well, he was a guy who worked with the FBI selling coke to black neighborhoods in the 1980s. That's on the record, like completely declassified. So I don't know why anyone takes anything he said seriously.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a sad day, obviously, but also, we're seeing all these protests happen across the world now. And do you think that, Josh, they're going to escalate to the levels that they are here in the U.S.?
You mean like Mexico?
Well, yeah, it seems like Mexico's starting to take off. Also, Europe, New Zealand, and elsewhere.
Yeah, well, like they firebombed the embassy in Greece. I believe yesterday, the U.S. Embassy, and wrote "I can't breathe" and George Floyd on the wall. But there's also cases of cops putting their knee on black men's necks in Paris and in Madrid, which is also kicking off a lot of protests. Something seems strange about this happening everywhere at the same time, right as coronavirus is proven to be BS, which we've been saying all along, and we got demonetized for daring to say it. Now it's completely proven. The CDC studies say it themselves,
right?
And they had to move on to something quick. And it's weird because the uprising is legitimate. Like, I've been waiting so long for something like this to happen. However, the misdirection is what's most concerning to me, and is obviously being co-opted to the highest degree in places like it's almost happening in every country right now. In Mexico right now, there's riots in the city of Guadalajara, one of Mexico's biggest cities, in Jalisco. Because a cop killed a man for not wearing a mask on video, and then the police tried to bribe the family with 200,000 pesos to not post a video. 200,000 pesos is really not that much money, by the way. And also, when your father or husband or son dies at the hands of police, what are you going to take 200,000 pesos to not say anything about it? I mean, it's just ridiculous. I know everyone's doing bad with money everywhere, but 200,000 pesos to be quiet about your loved one being murdered in front of you, I mean, it's really insane. So I honestly, there's so much psyop going on here, mixed with legitimate uprising. 99% of protesters are peaceful, despite, even if you don't agree with what they're saying, 99% of the protests are peaceful. However, what the media shows is a violence, and the violence is instigated by agent provocateurs, a few idiots, and there's a lot of evidence that cops are instigating this stuff. There's pallets of bricks randomly showing up. There's windows being broken. This is why Facebook is telling me they're going to take down my account, because I'm talking about this. And by the way, if you're just joining us, we're bouncing all over the country looking at protests tonight. Hit that like button and share on social media. We're almost 10 minutes in, and we've got 85 people watching so far, which obviously tells us that no one's been notified out of the 141,000 subscribers on World Alternative Media. By the way, that's an insult to you more than it is to me, because it's an insult to you guys watching, because it tells you that they can police what you see and think they know better than you what you want to watch. And that should be concerning to everyone watching, because the gauntlet is coming down, my friends. Steve French says, bah. Well, yeah.
Well, Josh, I mean, they're just pushing authoritarian voices up to the forefront during all the current events. So, you got to be careful where you get your fake news from. And
well, that's the thing, because when we were live the other night, Tim Picciott looked up protest on Twitter, and the top posts were from Rachel Maddow quoting the CIA. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
That's great. Was she just quoting Anderson Cooper, you mean, or?
No. They try to discern between the CIA networks, but no, I mean, she was quoting someone at the CIA, and that was all you could find from like protests. If you looked up protests during these massive riots. And Kingsley, I sent you a video of Minneapolis, the aftermath. We'll bounce to that while we're checking out all these multi streams that we're watching right now. We'll go back to it in a moment, but I want you to bring up the aftermath in Minneapolis and what we see now. They've calmed down in the last couple of days in Minneapolis. They're not as crazy as they were, a couple days ago. I think for the last 4 days, they've really calmed down. It seems like they're moving city by city, destroying city by city. If they went after the police station, which, by the way, the majority of Americans support burning down police stations now. However, so many people are going after the small businesses, and I think that's a big part of the misdirection that we've been witnessing. And I think that has a lot to do with the infiltration of the movement and the co-opting of the movement. Again, this isn't about left or right, it's about government. It doesn't matter if it's left or right, it's government. And government begets the evil. I mean, for example, the government could pass any law, whether it's a conservative, progressive, socialist, communist, fascist, it doesn't matter. The police are the ones that enforce the law. They're the violent enforcement arm of the state. Without them, there's only fear. Kingsley, can you bring up that Minneapolis video?
Yeah, sure.
There is no leader.
So this is what Minneapolis.
Here we go.
This is what Minneapolis looks like now after the fact. It's shocking.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean,
wow.
it looks like Iraq. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
You see the fuck 12 there.
Yeah. I kind of. Is there any fuck 12 T-shirts? Yeah.
Yeah.
Socks.
I'm sure
Anarchy
it's
symbol,
around.
Of course. And you're just seeing just loads of talk from Trump and elsewhere against quote unquote anarchy, when in reality we all know that this is not what anarchy is about.
Yeah, you don't burn down people's businesses.
Right. Anarchy is just the voluntary communication and transactions amongst free people, and this is definitely not that. So
and we're watching Minneapolis
now
here.
if you want to throw an anarchy sign on a burning police building, I can understand. There's the autozone.
Yeah, might as well stop that there. Yeah, might as well go back. But this is the thing. We're dealing with a movement that, like Kingsley, a lot of people are calling this a psyop, that they're trying to create chaos in order to bring in order. And there's a lot of compelling arguments to prove that fact. However, there's also a reasonable purpose for standing up and taking action to the highest extent when you're not listened to for years, when the government's killing millions of people, forcing people into homes recently, lying to us all, destroying the economy, causing mass poverty, which will kill millions of people, the level of poverty that we're just starting to see the very, very first sliver beginning of. I mean, that's going to lead to untold consequences later on, unthinkable consequences. So, I mean, what do you think? I mean, there's obviously evidence that there's psyops involved in this.
Yeah.
There's obviously evidence.
Oh, go. You can finish.
Well, I mean, there's obviously evidence that there's a psyop involved in this. There's obviously evidence that they're trying to misdirect people away from a real movement. What do you think? Because obviously there's a decent amount of evidence.
Yeah. Well, first, I just want to say hi to the people that are watching the float stream at flote.app, flote.app. And
just as many viewers.
Sorry, what was that?
Probably just as many viewers.
Yeah, honestly. Well, I have like I think 7 or 8 viewers right now, so not too bad compared to your numbers if you take that, use some calculations. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like I totally agree with you that it seems like there was a yes, there's obviously some racial tension and all this stuff with police brutality and Black Lives Matter, but there seems to be now this agenda that they're trying to put forth as far as Antifa, as far as the talk against anarchy, as far as the cops being caught with bricks. I talked to one of my friends who's one of my best friends who's a cop, and in Texas, and he has no words. He doesn't know. He's seen all the footage of the cops laying out bricks, and he's just like, this is obviously funded by something going on here that's very strange. And then also how the economy is just kind of floating along. NASDAQ I think is almost at like whatever pre-corona highs. And now we have all these like just like you said, all these unemployed people that are getting potentially checks that may have been even more than they were getting at their regular jobs, and now there's no incentive really to work, and it's kind of like it's just a perfect storm.
No one's
riots.
working. Everyone's out of work. It's like the perfect situation for, usually when there's big protest movements, they don't last very long. And a big part of that is because most people have to work. They can't afford to be going to protests every day. Right now, everything's shut down and they're just destroying businesses in the street the day after they open things up in parts of LA. They're burning down these businesses. I mean, it's just so strange to watch. And at the same time, you have people kneeling with police. Like there's this new stance to kneel. Like seriously, that's the new popular trend is to kneel. I mean, come on, guy.
Really? I thought I saw something about this earlier. This has happened today?
There's
I didn't
groups
look into
of
it too much.
thousands of people. There's groups of thousands of people in videos online in the daytime kneeling, and then the police kneel with them, and they say, "Oh, how nice!" And they're like, "Oh, well."
That's the exact
and all these people are like,
image
"We
of
need the
him
police."
on George Floyd. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. They're playing with people so much. And then when people are, they kneel with the police and the media shows that and then doesn't show the police shoot tear gas canisters at like children's heads and, start gassing traffic. And then instead the media shows them kneeling with the police, say, "Oh, how warm-hearted." And then they show moments later fire erupting and they're like, "Oh, it's the protesters inciting this." And all the protesters are like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah.
And then the media portrays it this certain way. And then, so all you see is, "Oh, we need more police." And people on the left and right are suddenly, "Oh, the police are so good. They're kneeling with us. Oh, these instigators are such a huge problem. They're anarchists. We need to shut everything down. We need more security. We need more surveillance." It's so, I don't know. It just seems like an obvious psyop because the original reason why they rose up was totally legitimate and was kneeling with us. "Oh, these instigators are such a..."
Sorry,
I just heard myself playing back there. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that was my fault. Go ahead.
But I'm just saying that you see a reasonable movement rising up for all the right reasons, up against the government. It starts with the police stations, though we saw Umbrella Man go after that AutoZone, who was wearing police-issued boots and a helmet and everything. But then it just immediately is misdirected into chaos, and this chaos being directed, according to Fox News, by leftists, according to CNN, by white supremacists and Proud Boys, which is absurd. I mean, it's just the Proud Boys actually responded to one of these things. There's a picture going around Twitter claiming it was Proud Boys causing the riot, and it was pictures of like some kids with piercings all over their face in all black and skinny jeans, holding skateboards, and they had anarchist A's on their toques. And Proud Boys is like, "Yeah, we don't dress in girls' jeans and we're all black. So yeah, that's definitely not us."
For the American audience, a toque, I believe, is a beanie.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, you lived in Canada long enough to.
Yeah, I'm just trying to translate your Canadianisms.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to. I really don't want to monitor the comments on Facebook. I guess Facebook actually is working.
You're streaming to Facebook too?
Yeah, it wasn't working before for like the last streams that we did, but now apparently it is working today. So, but if you want me to monitor your comments, please have it over to Float. I posted my link in there, and it'll be easier for me to check it out there.
And I'm checking on YouTube for all of you. On YouTube, Lakeview says left or not left or right. Fragmaster said that would be Antifa, Josh. Yeah, and that's the thing. Antifa has been so hugely propped up by certain interests. And the thing is, yeah, there's a lot of Antifa people that are legitimate and they're not good people, but they're legitimate. They're not like paid by the government, but there's a lot of them that are, and there's a lot of paid agitators. And look, this goes back, and I've been mentioning this in a lot of my videos lately. You go back to Toronto 2010, G20, and the police would park a cop car in the middle of the intersection, leave all the doors open, take out the computer. The protest was about 2 blocks away. This is all documented by Dan Dix's documentary Into the Fire. And then the police would open their wall, their line. They had martial law. They opened their wall to allow, and it was all on video, black bloc, now known as Antifa protesters, to come in, and then they closed the wall to any like peaceful protesters. And then all these black bloc guys would run to the car and immediately start it on fire. And then we get all the most, well-known images from the G20 riots in Toronto of this car on fire. It was all instigated. I was in Vancouver, Canada during the Stanley Cup riot in 2011, by the way. And that was a strange situation. It was because
someone guy with a stick
yeah.
missed a goal or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what happened was, oh man, it was so stupid. I think they were up against Boston, and Vancouver Canucks lost. And the thing is, Boston Bruins fans and Vancouver Canucks fans were both burning things and setting things on fire. And it started with like 6 or 7 people, and then the police instantly started firing tear gas at like families in the crowd, and it just turned into this massive snowball effect. And on the news, they just said all these Vancouverites are destroying their own city, and it's like a couple of them did. Then the tear gas was deployed at peaceful but drunk fans. And what do you think is going to happen? There's instigation. I fled the city when it happened because it got so insane that I went to a place called Vernon, British Columbia, when that happened. But anyway, it was a really insane situation. But again, we were watching the other night, Kingsley, when in Portland, things got really heated up. And what happened was the protesters were just standing there. And then suddenly, for no reason, the police started shooting tear gas into the crowd, into traffic that they had blocked off, hundreds of cars. Everyone was getting gassed, and then shooting fireworks at people. And they were shooting tear gas off the roofs of the skyscrapers around them. And it was just gassing everyone, and then you just see these stormtroopers marching like goose stepping through the tear gas. It was one of the most insane scenes I've seen throughout all of these riots. It barely got any coverage. I covered it in another recent video where I took a clip from that live stream. But it's just, we are witnessing so many examples of complete tyranny playing out. It's so perfect in a lot of cases for them to say, hey, we need new security, new surveillance tactics or tools. We're going to utilize a coronavirus shutdown to do warrantless arrests. We're going to utilize a coronavirus shutdowns to get contact tracing on everyone, 5G monitoring, quick monitoring, facial recognition, which is where the masks actually do come into play here, where they could be good. But then on top of that, they're getting a bigger budget at the police departments. The cops get paid more. I mean, there's so many sides to this coin. It's just, I don't know. I'm really questioning where this is going to go next. Are they going to just get tired of rioting in certain cities and just move on from one to the next to instigate at least 2 days of violence in every big city so that they can get a bigger budget and bring in more surveillance tools? It seems like they're dividing people against each other. The divide isn't as it isn't working as well as they thought. So I think they're just hoping for destruction and people to beg the government for help. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree. You sure do have the gift of the gab, but yeah, that was, yeah, obviously I agree. And did you see? So right now we have, obviously, this is a great, rebroadcast of all these streams. But did you see? There was Austin on here earlier. But there's a crazy video of a Austin protester, 20 years old. I forget his name, a young black man. I believe he was a student as well. He got shot in the back of the head. Apparently, he was a peaceful protester. Got shot in the back of the head with a quote-unquote non-lethal round. He went straight to the ground. I think it cracked his skull. I believe he's still in the hospital. And as other protesters went, apparently other peaceful protesters went to go pick up his lying unconscious body off the ground as they were still shooting. They were carrying him to the medical. The cops went again and shot the people that picked him up to move him out of the way. So I mean, it's like they're using military tactics. This was used in Vietnam, and I'm sure in World War II. Where you shoot one and then you wait for others to come and pick up the wounded, and then you take them out too. So
yeah, it's just not fair play. I saw that video, and they were also destroying all medic areas and piercing all the bottles of water and dumping them out. A lot of the water was for tear gas.
Do you want me to pull that video up real quick?
Of the guy getting knocked. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
While we're waiting for something to happen, I feel like I'm poking a dead horse here, because look, we don't want the riots, but also I wouldn't mind people continuing to rise up against the government. It's just that it's being misdirected into a racial issue, which becomes a huge problem, and that turns into divide and conquer, and that means order out of chaos, and that's a huge problem. As I mentioned earlier, there are riots now in Mexico and Guadalajara due to a cop murdering a man for not wearing a mask. I posted a video report on that today that you guys can check out on our channel. I got videos going up tomorrow as well that I hope you guys check out. I'm hanging out with Brian Forrester, who does all that amazing research on ancient civilizations tomorrow. So it sounds like he's got the video coming up.
Yeah, sorry about that.
And if you're just tuning in, hit that like button and share on social media to get around the shadow banning. Let's see what this video shows.
Okay, so yeah, so here again is the in Austin. I believe this is just when the young man went down, and then the other protesters are picking him up off the ground and trying to move him to medical, and they start opening fire on them. So let's watch this.
One guy screaming. It's really infuriating though, because we've witnessed it. Have you seen the video of the guy who was just driving down the street? He wasn't even involved in the protest, Kingsley.
I have that too. I can pull that up.
And he and he had a pregnant wife in the car.
Yeah, and they pepperball him. I can pull that up too.
Yeah, and when he complains about it, they start shooting at him more. And he's like, "Are you serious?"
And that's when I'm having a real hard time thinking that this is going to end.
Watch the next video.
Yeah.
Oh, it's copyrighted.
Okay. IP is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Here, okay, yeah, I can.
And we're gonna go right back to the multi-stream in a moment, folks.
Yeah, here, I'll pull this up. I can pull this up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can get that one queued. Also, another good video is Judge Weiss's video.
Oh, that's an insane video. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely good to show that. We'll show some recaps, but this is live what you're seeing on the screen. We see Washington, D.C., San Diego, Seattle, Los Angeles, Seattle again, Charlotte. I don't know what's in the top left there, but
there we go.
If you just joined us, hit that like button. Share on social media. We're going all over the country tonight and looking at the live streams. JJ Ryan says Nobel Prize for Floyd. He cured COVID. Yeah, really. And he also somehow, I mean, seriously, he had coronavirus. Give me a break. I mean, 2020 is getting way too dumb, man. I can't. There's only so much a human being can deal with. I know some people that are actually into the news that have just started turning off not just their TVs, but their internet too. They're like, I can't deal with it. It's just too much. Like they're getting anxiety from it because this year is just turning into this creepy Black Mirror nightmare. I mean, it's hard for people to mentally take. I mean, people who have serious depression and serious anxiety issues. I mean, there's so many suicides happening right now. Like the suicide rate is skyrocketing. And a Chinese Checher says, buy Bitcoin, the peaceful revolution.
That's
right. I think that's more of an evolution.
Yeah, definitely evolution. That's what we need. And that's what I think, hopefully, this will all, end. The end game really is cryptocurrency, hyperinflation on the U.S. dollar. They'll try to bail it out with some sort of SDR or World Bank or some sort of, collectivist world organization bailing out the U.S. And with a digital dollar, they'll call it a cryptocurrency. That will be a lie. It will be a permission-based blockchain where they can, basically the mark of the beast, where they can turn off track everything, turn off your transactions at any time, put you on a blacklist. And it's so obvious now. Now more than ever. I mean, there's no way that you can call someone a conspiracy theorist for thinking this through, because it makes sense. It's part of the plan. But here we are. But thankfully, we do have things like Bitcoin, Monero. I believe has a real good chance of surviving all this.
Privacy coins,
yeah, privacy coins in general. I know McAfee just launched his privacy coin today, which I heard was just a copy of PivX, which is another privacy coin. But anyway, that's
I want to mention a comment here. Doc Marvel says the Twilight Zone and Black Mirror had a baby. They named her 2020. Seriously. Yeah, well, did you hear? They showed the General Robert E. Lee statue there. They're taking down the General Robert E. Lee statue because that'll cure government. And there's also news out of Minneapolis today that the Minneapolis City Council is contemplating disbanding the entire police department. and having only community by community outreach security, which is an interesting concept. But I also believe there's so much more to the story that they're not telling us, that there has to be a benefit somewhere in there, because the government doesn't do anything they don't benefit from personally. Sometimes they'll do something that loosens their power slightly for a short amount of time to distract us while they're creating a new operandi, or some other new tool to control us further. That always seems to be the case.
And I think, what do you think it would be a solution to all this? Because we're starting to see some demands, and especially like from the more, I would say racist, at least towards white people, BLM members demanding a lot of more socialist agenda types things. But what do you think the solution to this? Because I have my own ideas, but.
Well, I think the solution would definitely be freedom and individualism. But I mean, the solution is that we see all these issues that play with like race and class. The racism issue is a classism issue. The classism issue is an economic issue. The economic issue is from printing trillions of dollars out of thin air, inflating the price of living, taxing people to death, and creating faulty monopolies based on the idea of stopping monopolies. It's a Hegelian dialectic of problem, reaction, solution, repeat. So, and then all that is rooted in government. So if all of that's rooted in government is going to fix the problem. Obviously, they're not going to fix the problem. That's going in circles perpetually. And I think a lot of people realize that, even on the left and the right. I think, but the problem is, the right aren't good at calling out cops, and the left, the cops that are going to take their guns, and the left isn't good at calling out the violent, crazy collectivists that are within their crowd, because they're afraid to say it, because they might get kicked out of their own community. So, I mean, there's the issue of being offended on the left, and there's the issue of, these thugs that we call cops, that work for the state to enforce the laws of the state, obviously doing these terrible things. And again, it isn't race, it's an issue of government in general that goes for both sides. So I think that people have to do a better job of acknowledging the enemy. And I think people are starting to realize that after months of being forced into their homes or kennels like cattle, I think people are bound to reject what the government tells them, because they've been lied to so much, and they've lost their jobs, they've lost their money, and something has to give eventually. Eventually, something has to give.
Yeah.
So I feel like the solution personally is decentralization and evolution via technology in the market. But obviously, not everyone's going to support that. But I do believe individual demand, one way or another, will reign high. And people, whether they know it's a market or not, will decide things by demand.
Right.
And if they don't like something, they will abolish it. And I think even people, I know the Black Lives Matter movement is heavily co-opted in many ways, but I've met a lot of people in that group that are buying guns on the left,
right,
and people on the right that are starting to dislike cops, and dislike war. And I'm having conversations with people even here in Mexico that are right-wingers and left-wingers, and the left-wingers are talking about how they've never been so supportive of gun rights. The right-wing people are saying they've never hated cops so much. And it's like something is happening in the fabric of psyche today, and it's hard to not acknowledge that, despite all the psyops we're watching.
Yeah. Well, I think, and I don't even think this is really an extreme solution. My two ideas. One of that would be to just restructure police as they are now, which I obviously disagree with the monopoly that they have now, but just restructure it so they focus on violent crimes. If police only focus on violent crimes, they would be considered like the heroes that we think of, like firefighters, or other people think about firefighters, EMTs. If they just were those superheroes, or those heroes of the community that focused on violent crimes. Another thing that they should do. And this kind of goes with the whole Minneapolis story today, as far as this more of a community-driven, security forces, is allow people to, or first of all, itemize people's taxes so they are able to opt out of funding the current police department. So that's and then you can, if you call 911, in that case, if you call 911, you're part of some sort of database. If you're not part of that database, then they're not going to show up to your door to help you. But like I know in the U.S. in Las Vegas alone, we spend roughly about $650 a year per capita per person that lives in Las Vegas on police. I know I don't get my my $650 worth. If anything, cops, they just bother you. They tailgate you. They run your license. They run your registration. They run everything. Just to and then they're always looking out. They're the rabble rousers or. So they're the ones looking to basically pick a fight for any little thing. So I think those two small things would make a world of difference for the communities, and maybe that could be at least one of the answers for what's going on.
Yeah, I agree. And by the way, I'm sending you another link to another multi-stream that shows Portland and other places that I find quite interesting. That you can bring up. I'm just sending you the link right now. And if you're just joining us, everyone, hit that like button and share on social media. It helps us actually reach people, which is nice because YouTube has made it almost impossible for us to reach people anymore, shadow banning us to death. So again, we have 141,000 subscribers and currently 282 people watching, and channels that have 1.6K viewers or subscribers have thousands of people watching on their streams. Tells you everything you need to know about how shadow banned this channel is. So we really appreciate you guys sharing on social media, because this is not natural. It took us 10 minutes to reach 100 people watching live on a channel with 141,000 subscribers. I mean, seriously, give me a break. But and we can't get super chats anymore. They demonetized us entirely because they warned us, if you don't say what the World Health Organization says word for word, we're going to demonetize your channel and restrict you from making any income. And they even, in some cases, took my shirts off my YouTube page, so I can't even sell my merchandise anymore. So make sure to check those links below. Join our new newsletter at iambanned.com. I'll link below crypto addresses and coins on the COINTREE link. And you can go to GoFundMe, Patreon, Subscribestar. Just $1 or more a month makes a huge difference, folks. But also, more importantly than ever, and anything else, is go to flote.app, flote.app, the future of social media, as well as BitChute, and join us on the alternatives now, because we will not be here much longer and we won't be able to tell you where we are once we're gone. If you're new to World Alternative Media, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell. You might be one of the 2% of people who hit that notification bell that actually get notified. So we hope we get to see you again. We hope we're not pushed so far in the shadows. If you search up the title of this video, you won't find us on YouTube. But that's the way it goes when you speak the truth. Kingsley, you want to bring up that other multi-stream there?
Yeah, sure. And I just have one thing. Gary Cook on our Float stream. And you can follow Josh on Float, Josh Sigurdsson, or Wham on Float. And I'm at King on Float. But Gary Cook said that a black lady was killed by cops in London too, so it's getting heated here.
Yeah, well, right now it's just a power of influence, man. It's a power of influence on the media, and people also being forced in their home for so long and not having jobs. I mean, seriously, it's a perfect storm right now for both a PSYOP to take place and a real revolution to take place. It's amazing it hasn't happened already. I've been waiting years. But I mean, this is much bigger than April 26, 1992, Rodney King riots in Los Angeles. This is growing worldwide, in Paris, in Madrid, in Guadalajara, and all for separate issues for the most part. Though in Athens, it was due to George Floyd and they firebombed the U.S. Embassy. But if you've ever been to Athens, there's almost always riots going on, and there's riot police at the ready everywhere and buildings burning all the time. It was anyway last year when I was there, and it was one of the strangest things I've ever seen, because you never hear about it in the news. But they've been dealing with a recession for a long time, and there's just constantly chaos.
They firebombed the U.S. Embassy because of George Floyd stuff?
Yeah. They wrote "I can't breathe" and George Floyd on the building, and they firebombed the U.S. Embassy in Athens. Now, again, there's riots constantly in Athens. That's an interesting image in the middde, by the way. Whoever has that camera has a great stabilizer or is in the back of a truck or something.
Wow, yeah.
Okay, it reminds me of Charlottesville in a weird way too. That I shouldn't say that, but I just see all the lights and I'm like,
wow, yeah, people holding up their phones.
Are those torches?
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna pull up this Facebook thing that you sent right now. Let's see if I can find it. Last one. Okay, Periscope. Oh, is it Periscope?
Yeah, it's on Periscope. And
okay.
Let's see. Valhalla 56 says on YouTube, lock in physical gold now. Half says George Floyd was a criminal. Okay, well maybe he was years ago. He did have criminal charges years ago. I have no. It's not about him. It's about government, though. It's not about if we go down to the individual and into the race and into the group, Antifa or white supremacist or whatever it might be, or Black Lives Matter. Then what you deal with is a distraction, a misdirection from the real problem here, which is a real problem that we see all the time. Police are more likely to kill you than Al-Qaeda, which the U.S. government also armed and funded in the first place. What we're witnessing here is a huge multi-stream, including the one we were just watching, plus interesting images out of Portland, Oregon. Things are getting heated up there once again, and I just think that it's a fascinating world we live in where we have millions of people streaming, but you can only find a few streams on the internet right now because they're jamming signals and they're stopping most of the streams from showing up in searches. So we're lucky we even have what we have here.
This is a good time to own a drone.
Yeah, I know, really. Though, I don't know if you can. Maybe a drone is a COVID problem, and you can't do that either anymore. Anyway, but if you might as well go back to the other multi-stream. But I don't know. Like seriously. I was arguing with some people on the beach today. Yes, I get to go on the beach here. I'm very lucky. I'm living in Mexico. I pay $400 a month to live here. I mean, it's just unbelievable. They demonetize me.
You spend another $400 on rum and cokes.
Yeah, right. But no, I mean the rum and cokes cost about $1 each here, so I mean that's not an issue. But sometimes less. In fact, actually, for a while, there was one place I was doing 2 for $1, and it was $1 each. So I ended up at 50 cents per rum and coke. But anyway, that's another story entirely.
Just don't eat the ice.
The ice is good. I have ice every night. I've never gotten sick from ice in Mexico.
What?
But never. And I drink tap water here too. I mean, I never get sick from any of it. It's all BS, dude. It's all BS. Well, I get sick from tap water in the U.S.
I mean, I've gotten sick in Mexico multiple times, but
from food.
Daniel on Float said, "I can't even chill play Call of Duty. It cut out and displayed a Black Lives Matter message," which is pretty crazy.
Wow, great. Yeah, well, there's big funding there. That isn't free of charge. There's big funding there. Any person, no matter how much of a virtue signaling celebrity or entrepreneur they are, they'll always be asking, "What do I benefit from this?" Now, I want to point out that what was I saying? Oh yeah, I was talking with some guys on the beach today, and they were from Denmark, and I saw the police go up to them on the beach and tell them to leave the beach. Or no, they told them to step back 3 feet because they were 3 feet over a line somewhere on the beach that was invisible, where you couldn't stand or sit. And they're like, we're sitting, there's 3 of us. We all live in the same place, and we're 3 feet away from where we're supposed to be. Look at those crowds, by the way, in New York. It's crazy. They're like, that doesn't even make any sense. And the cops were like, well, we're just doing our jobs. And it's like, oh my God, so stupid. I go up to them after, and one of them was like, yeah, well, I mean, it's true. They're not the ones making the stupid rules. And I'm like, yeah, they're the ones enforcing them. That's even worse. You can say any rule you want. You can say any rule and any kind of restriction you want. It doesn't mean anything. I could say, Kingsley, you now have to pay me $5,000 a month. Doesn't mean you will. It's going to take enforcement to do that, won't it?
Yeah, I definitely would.
Yeah, you're not willing to do that, so it would take some form of enforcement.
Unless I had a good deal of money that I can just hand over to Wham, which others should. If you are well off right now in these dire times, we have Dan Dix joining us. Dan Dix from Press for Truth joining us on the Float stream in the chat. Hey, Dan.
Dan Dix. Yeah, good to see you, Dan, and good work on your video today on Bob Jacket. I encourage people to watch that. What government has done to just basic stuff like being able to go to a funeral of a family member. It's sickening, and it should make everyone livid.
Oh, right. Yeah, absolutely.
It's absolutely insane.
You want to go back to the other multi?
Yeah, let's go to the other multi-stream.
Okay, I can keep this one up. I'll just turn it volume down. There we go.
Yeah. The other multi-stream slightly better because you can get a bigger picture. But, oh, wow. Look at all those people in Denver. Oh, wait, those are buildings. So, I don't know. There's something really cultish about all this.
Did you actually think those are protesters?
No, I was just messing with you.
Okay.
But and then Washington stream is
Like
boring as hell.
World War Z style.
Yeah, right.
The Seattle stream. Oh, the Washington DC.
The Washington DC stream is boring because it's just nothing.
Rainy out.
It's like great. But no, I mean there's
things don't light on fire in the rain.
Right. That's unfortunate for the police stations. But look, there's some cultish stuff happening here because a lot of people are just kneeling. They're chanting things that they're told to chant. Many of them don't know why they're protesting. But the key issue to focus on here is not what they're trying. I mean, we should know what they're trying to misdirect us with, but we should look at the fact that there is so much anger and so few jobs and so much poverty and so much violence at the hand of government that people are willing to go out day after day, even though protesters are getting shot with rubber bullets, going blind, firebombs are going off, Molotovs are going off. I mean, they could face serious criminal charges, even if a celebrity virtue signaler does bail them out. The fact of the matter is there is some risk involved, and no matter if they know what the hell they're talking about or not in the protest, and no matter how many cultish things are happening, there is an uprising, and we should seize that. And I've been wondering why protesters haven't figured out yet in the United States that laser pointers exist.
Oh yeah. This is a really good point. I think we should start a GoFundMe or some sort of crypto fund to fund laser pointers for protesters.
But seriously, I mean, I don't know. Dan Dick says, I'm going to another BLM rally tomorrow. Should be interesting. Dude, look, so he keeps getting attacked by Karens, whether he's protesting or he's videotaping a protest on the other side of the spectrum. He can't win. I kind of feel bad for him. But, I mean, he's doing great work. And, you know, there's going to be those idiot Karens at those kinds of events. But they always say Black Lives Matter is hosting these events. But what if you're just an individual who hates cops because they're mercenaries of the state that enforce the laws of the state, whether it's communist or conservative or progressive or socialist or fascist or whatever it is? What if you're just one of those people? What if you're one of those people that are just consistently against government?
Well, that's the issue with being libertarian or anarchist, because you always have clowns to the left of you, jokers to the right.
And that's the thing, though. They go to these
both.
I've seen a lot of my friends at these rallies lately, and you know what they do is they go with a sign that says Google voluntarism or Bitcoin.
Buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, right. And there's a lot of people doing that right now, and I think there's a lesson to be learned there. I don't know. Because you're going to have to deal with idiots no matter what. If you are a voluntarist, you're going to constantly be faced with complete jackasses. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, every single person in the world, except for like a 0.1% of people, disagree with you. Think of it that way. So I mean, and on top of that, the crowd, they debate each other, they argue with each other, they infight. That's exactly what they want too. I mean, I don't know. It's very frustrating. I've been watching this stuff for so many years now. I've never seen any time more crazy than this, but I'm just really worried that we're just gonna infight and distract ourselves with divide.
Yeah.
On both sides. Seriously, people on the left are hitting people really hard, telling people to apologize and get on their knees for being white, which is ridiculous. And there's a lot of communist infiltration and agent provocateurs. On the right, there's people that are just like, oh, well, they're making it everyone hate whitey and all this kind of stuff, and then they get all mad and start discounting an entire movement against the police that are the ones that are going to be taking away your guns. If you are for small government or no government, you shouldn't be justifying the cops either. So I don't know. It's really frustrating. You should tell people, Kingsley, about what your dad's been through over the last 27 years.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the issues why, like I said, I understand that you can make the case that this system is inherently, racist and all this. I understand that case. But at the same time, there's people like me, and there's plenty of me's out there. My father's case is a bit of an extreme example. But, he's been incarcerated for now 27 years for a nonviolent drug offense in 1993. I am a tablespoon of cocaine. A tablespoon of cocaine. I am a white male. Whatever, say that I'm privileged.
Couldn't be more Aryan.
I grew up, pretty, very, very poor as a child, but thankfully my mother took care of me. God bless her. And yeah, it's just, it's like, to me,
I mean, you're so white, it's cringy.
What?
You're so white, it's cringy.
No,
so,
I have a good base tan, especially right now. I'm not white Canadian like you, Josh. I don't burn as bad as you. Where I step outside and I just turn red like a beet.
I am so much more tan.
My skin starts peeling off. No, I don't think so. Well, maybe because
you can look up you guys can look up Free Michael Edwards, by the way, online and petition.
And here's the sad thing is that my father, we finally got his name on the agenda for the clemency board in Florida. And then COVID happens, and then the Florida government doesn't know how to do a teleconference, I guess, or use Zoom or Jitsi or whatever. So they postponed that. They canceled that meeting. Now there's another meeting coming up, hopefully in June, but it's not verified yet whether he's going to be on the agenda or not. So, man. Yeah, it's just that's why like I get kind of emotional when all this stuff, especially these riots and protests, turn into a race matter, because I am a victim of the system. I've had friends die in wars. The IRS has gone after my grandmother. It's just I've been attacked by the state a lot, and I used to be a statist, and then
you were in the military.
Yeah,
which is pretty
exactly. I even joined the military because I thought it was the right thing to do after 9/11.
And that's the right thing to do after the government just goes after your family for years. I think I should join them. You can't beat them, join them.
Yeah,
that's unfortunately the brainwashing that so many people have, though.
It is, yeah, it is. And so, but I am a case that where I've been able to, thanks to the words of Ron Paul sending me down that rabbit hole, been able to kind of figure things out for myself and follow the right people now. So, yeah. Anyway. Free Michael Edwards 2020.
One person wrote, petition is the same as begging. It also means to love the government. That makes no sense. Look, if you have a choice to either sign a petition that could help save a person's life, or just not sign it because you don't like government so much, that's really dumb. I want to use a certain word that I get taken down off YouTube if I use, but that's really, really stupid. I mean, come on. Well, you're unwilling to sign a petition because you dislike the government. If someone's life is literally, it helps in a court case to show the petition. Obviously, it's rare that it works, but it can work. So what's wrong with spending 2 seconds pressing sign on a petition? Like, seriously? And it's the same as begging. The guy's life, he's been in jail for 27 years. Are you serious?
Well, here's the thing, and I've heard that argument before, and I have an answer for that. And the fact is that a terrorist organization called the United States government or Florida government, that's just part of the bigger cabal or cult. They are holding my father hostage. So unfortunately, we still, until protesters or even myself go and start burning up jails, which I don't think would probably not be a good idea because you probably kill a lot of innocent prisoners. We have to kind of deal with these terrorist demands as they come in. So that's one of the reasons why the petition does help. I think we almost have, we may even pass over 10,000 signers now. We also have Ross Ulbricht also, we're big fans of Free Ross. I know his petition has 250,000. So the government, because these politicians are so, their ego is so big and they care so much, quote unquote. Well, they care so much about whether they're going to be reelected if that's what they're going for. Numbers do matter, names do matter, and petitions do matter because they grab headlines. And they make they can potentially make politicians look bad, which is the last thing that they want, obviously. So
yeah, and honestly, how lazy are people that they can't spend 2 seconds hitting sign on a petition? I'm sorry, but it really makes me worry about the future of mankind when we're fighting this massive system, but pressing something on a petition? No, I'm not. Petitions are stupid. Why would I? I mean, that really concerns me about the future of mankind. But nonetheless, people can dislike petitions all they want, but spend 2 seconds pressing the click button on your computer. Seriously, guys, it's just ridiculous. And also, while you're at it, another thing you could do with clicking is hitting that like button and sharing on social media, because we are shadow banned and we're just trying to tell the truth, and we're trying to, weed out all of this deception, the psyops, the attempt to completely destroy any remaining individual freedom that we might have left. It's never been more important to get around this massive propaganda that we're dealing with, because it's almost impossible to wake people up when they have no counter information. So many people are like cattle. Wow, people are beaming the communist symbol and Molotovs on the side of that building in LA. What the hell?
Oh yeah,
that's City Hall. See, communism is literally what you should be fighting, because that's literally what this is. You're dealing with fascio communism. The answer isn't more fascio communism. Like this is what drives me crazy about LA.
I just want to say one more thing about just race in my father's particular position right now. Like 99% of the guards at the prison that he is at are African American. So I wish they would maybe turn BLM and let all the nonviolent prisoners go, but that's just not the case. And so it's much more of an issue than just race. It's about authority, establishment, top down, centralization of power, monopoly on violence.
Right. And Macho Taco says, I signed, Josh. Well, thank you for signing. Still Prill says link won't open when I click. I have no idea why. It works. It works for me. I don't know. Emma Rose says, don't these people have to work tomorrow? Most of them no, because everyone lost their job. 52% of small businesses say they're finished. 40 million people unemployed. And if you count in the labor force participation rate, that brings the number now closer to 55 million people unemployed in the United States. This is a big reason why we're witnessing what we're witnessing right now. It wouldn't be possible without the level of slavery we've been dealing with the last few months. I mean, I was talking with someone who was like 80 who is saying that they've never seen a time in their life so crazy. And I'm like, you could be 400 years old and still never see a time in your life that's this crazy. I mean, we're dealing with such a weird, in December, did you guys think that this would be happening within a couple months? I mean, like I don't know. 2020 has just been insane. I don't even know there's no proper word to make of it, because in the future, we're going to be comparing things to 2020 as like the Cadillac of insanity, so I don't know. I have no word to define what we're dealing with, but what I do see right now is a mixture of idiots, agent provocateurs, geniuses, revolutionaries, evolutionaries, statists, anarchists, a mixture of all of the above, and everyone's angry at the same time. And that should tell us everything we need to know. There's fear. There's fear everywhere, and fear is not a good thing to obey. We must be brave. We must stand up. We must also root out all of the agent provocateurs that are trying to misdirect people in this massive movement, and there are many of them.
Absolutely. Hey, do you want me?
Oh, Bold says asteroids will fly by Earth in several hours.
Say that again.
John Bold says asteroids will fly by Earth in several hours.
Yeah, probably. Then there's going to be the alien encounters next.
There's like thousands a day.
Do you want me to pull up this Denver man that's getting shot in his car with the pregnant woman?
Yes. So let's watch this video. This is ridiculous. And by the way, JC says I'm an anarchist, not a statist. Yeah, me too. Doesn't mean I can't press sign on a petition.
Oh. Yeah, I've heard that from anarchists before. Like I said, it's dealing with the
freedom. But wait. This is a very easy thing to solve, Kingsley. Freedom is individual responsibility. So you do what you do to be free as an individual and free other people. If you get more freedom out of clicking a button on a freaking petition, that doesn't make you a statist,
right? But a lot of people don't understand. I mean, they don't. That's all.
They don't understand freedom, because freedom is individual responsibility. I mean,
well, they don't. No, it's not about that. I would say that they don't understand negotiating with a terrorist organization.
Right. I guess
maybe they've never been put in that position. Maybe here, or maybe it's just different position. But here's this protester. I'm going to turn the volume all the way up because I think it's important to hear what he says. Right. All right. So let's listen.
my car again with a fucking pepper ball with my girlfriend in it? My pregnant fucking girlfriend in it? Are you? Shoot it! Fuck you! You shot a car with a pregnant woman in it! With fucking tear gas! Fuck you! I ain't going nowhere! Fucking bitches! Fuck, shoot it again! She's fucking pregnant! Shoot it again! Are you? Pregnant woman in the car!
Cops are probably smiling and laughing about this. You hear the cop? He goes, "Get your pregnant ass out of here," or something like that.
Yeah. If that guy knew what was good for humanity, he would have turned that steering wheel a little bit different. But anyway, this JC guy won't stop about how I'm a statist for supporting. It's not begging the government, dude. It's helping. It's supporting freeing one of my friend's parents who's been in jail for 27 freaking years for a tablespoon of cocaine.
Anyway, don't sign
prison.
it. Not big a deal. If you don't want to sign it, that's your choice. But no,
Yeah, but it doesn't make you a statist for signing it. That's a stupid.
That's like saying
argument.
I'm a statist for having to talking to my father, through the jail phone or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I have to pay to talk to my father. Luckily, I can send him an email now. Except he's actually in solitary confinement right now because guards have been attacking him or threatening him for the last 2 months. Guards. So yeah.
Well, half says sign it. Appreciate it. Robert McKenna says signed. Appreciate it. I appreciate all of you guys doing that. I'll post the link one more time there. But yeah. Anyway, oh man, I'm seeing this channel that's multi-streaming the original there, and it's showing all these super chats. Oh man, that pisses me off. I have been banned from making any money on YouTube, even voluntary donations. It's so ridiculous. So they demonetized me for not going along with the World Health Organization. Now everything I said is proven true, and they won't care. They don't care. I'm demonetized for good now, and I'm not allowed to make any money anymore. So check those links below and hit that like button and share on social media. Join us on float.app. Join us on BitChute. But yeah, I mean, there's GoFundMe, Patreon, subscribe star. Just $1 or more a month will make a huge difference. And I see people on Float. A few people pledged me on Float that I really appreciate that as well. You can pledge in crypto. And all the links are below. Join our new newsletter at iambanned.com, also linked below. Many ways that you can help support independent media. It's not all monetary. Many of it is just literally pressing like and sharing. That makes a huge difference in getting the message out.
Link Geminis or Geminis. I guess I don't know which one it is, but hey, Link. He said in the float chat, no problem we have in this planet is actually an issue of race, color, religion, status, or class. It is all psychopaths versus everyone else. This is no different. Yeah. I completely agree.
It's good versus evil. It's free versus slavery. It really is quite simple when it comes down to the brass tacks of it. You're either there's good people and then there's evil people. That you're either free or you're a slave. There's different levels of slavery, but there's only one level of freedom. I think that's really important to point out. I'm hearing, by the way, that in Guadalajara, the protesters just lit a cop on fire in the street.
Oof.
They're not playing around.
Huh.
They are not playing around at all. If you're just joining us, so earlier today in Guadalajara, there were massive riots because they murdered a guy, beat him to death for not wearing a mask. There's statism everywhere. I do believe Mexico is more free than the U.S., but in many ways, not always, but in many ways. However, government is government, and there's the quest for power that you'll find anywhere in the world, and this is true here. It's true everywhere else too. Macho Taco says this is humanity versus the government. Yeah, and really that does come down to good versus evil and freedom versus slavery.
Oh, here I found a video of Guadalajara earlier. They're graffitiing something, standing outside of looks like a government building. Why are all government buildings so gaudy?
I know they all look, well, it depends. They're either gaudy when they're old, or they look like Stalinist structures, like most city halls.
Yeah.
They're just block structures with few windows, like the schools they build these days, so kids don't have an imagination. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. There's a video out of Guadalajara of a cop on a motorcycle going by, and this protester just goes up to the guy and shoves him off the motorcycle while he's driving. He just smashes into the ground. There's another one. They lit a few vehicles on fire. Justicia Pera Giovanni is #1 trend in Mexico right now. It happened in Jalisco, just outside of Guadalajara, and Ixtlahuacan. It's really hard to pronounce it. Ixtlahuacan or Ixtlahuacan de la Moreos, which is close to Guadalajara and Jalisco, and so they killed this guy for not wearing a mask. The governor of Jalisco, whose name is Enrique Alfaro Ramirez, is hated among almost every person in Jalisco. People hate the guy, well, especially in Puerto Vallarta, by the way. And he is already unpopular enough. He's already risking getting killed when he leaves office. And I'm just saying that as a fact. Most people hate him enough. I mean, seriously, he's gone against every faction, if you know what I mean. Which is, and so I'm with everything that's happening. He said after this, we must use the full force of the law to enforce law, hate the guy. Onto the, I keep hearing myself back.
Sorry, that was my fault.
To enforce masks onto the populace. So people are pissed off. Almost everyone I talk to here wants the guy dead. So honestly, this is not going to end well for him at all. And you have to wonder what benefits these guys. I mean, how much money is going to, coat your coffin when you die? And if you're literally making that money in a way that will make people want to kill you, then really, what good is that money? I mean, it's absurd. It's politicians everywhere. It's just it's a symptom of government.
Some people think that Josh is responsible for the uprising in Mexico.
The mainstream media claimed that a month and a half ago. No, I interviewed business owners that wanted to get back to work because of certain shutdowns. And they said, we can't feed our family. I film it. You know how in the U.S. they were saying it was only Trump supporters and white supremacists that wanted to go back to work? It's so crazy. Now this social distancing thing is suddenly up in the air when it's on the left. But what was crazy was that I was interviewing these guys, and the mainstream media picked up the story, and somehow they thought 8,000 views was viral. I guess for the city right now it is. And they said a white foreigner, a provocateur, is attempting to create an uprising in Puerto Vallarta. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, well, I would hope, but no, that's not what I'm doing. Obviously.
What's prison in Spanish?
That's a good question.
I gotta do a quick potty break, but I'll be right back. Do you want me to leave it on the stream?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Watch copyrighted music start playing. The toy guy says YouTube has every right to restrict you. I like your content, but you do call governments terrorists. You are somewhat enemies of the state. Yeah, but isn't that kind of concerning that YouTube has become, with Google, a monopoly on information with grants from the CIA and grants from the FBI and grants from countries around the world, governments around the world? Is it really a private business when they are being propped up as a massive artificial monopoly by the state, a monopoly on information? I think it's worth calling out. And also, just because something's private doesn't make them immune from me calling them out. That's the thing. A lot of people seem to think that because something's private somehow makes them immune to be called out. And they're like, well, I'm being consistent. We shouldn't call out these businesses because they're private and they can do whatever they want. Well, it doesn't mean I can't do whatever I want when it comes to calling them out. And it's become a monolithic beast of censorship that has completely controlled the narrative. And I don't think it's working, but nonetheless, it is pretty insane the lengths that they will go to ensure that a message doesn't get out. People left the mainstream media in the first place for YouTube to get away from the mainstream media, and now the mainstream media is all that you find when you go on YouTube for the most part. Look at this. I have 141,000 subscribers on YouTube, and 187 people are watching. It tells you everything you need to know.
of the civil rights movement.
The toy guy says it's okay to call them out, but I've never seen you praise them. No, because they haven't been good since 2014, and even then they weren't good. The last time they were really a free entity where I could actually get things out to people was like 2009, 2010. It's been a while.
What did I miss?
They say I'm just explaining why, I call out YouTube as a private business, because it's gotten grants from the government. It's a monopoly on information, and on top of that, a private company doesn't make something immune from being called out. That's the whole idea of individual demand.
And there's a whole reason why YouTube became YouTube and as big as it is, because they allowed different voices besides the mainstream television.
Yeah, and they don't anymore. They don't anymore. They just threaten me. They say, you said something that's wrong, and I ask them what's wrong. They won't tell me, and it's just like, you said something, but we're not telling you what it is. No, the toy guy says YouTube might be corrupt, but corrupt a bit, but it's also amazing. Am I the only one who feels this way? Yeah, you can find lots of things on YouTube, but it's getting more and more difficult by the day to find things. And I wouldn't say it's a bit corrupt. It's wholly corrupt. Susan Wojcicki, the CEO of YouTube, openly says that she shadow bans content now. They used to say that it's all conspiracy theory. That she openly shadow bans content now that she deems that she doesn't like. And she's had group meetings where a lot of people at YouTube have quit because of the push for censorship. She is literally by family related to the CIA. I mean, have you seen the family connection with Susan Wojcicki with the CIA?
No, not with the CIA.
So she was, and by the way, I think it was after the Nice shooting years ago. Everyone forgets about these things because the news changes the narrative every 10 seconds. But it was around the Nice shooting. She utilized the Nice shooting as a reason at a YouTube meeting to start completely just taking down any videos that don't say what the CIA and the FBI have said. And so what happened was people at YouTube at the time called her out on it at the meeting and said, this isn't why people are on YouTube. This will push our own creators away from YouTube. And she said, I don't care how many people leave YouTube. I don't care how many people watch YouTube. I don't care how many people use YouTube. All I care about is making sure that the narrative is the right narrative. And that should tell you all you need to know about what kind of person she is. That's not a business plan. That's a plan of controlling a narrative, and who controls a narrative best. We can go back to the CIA's Operation Mockingbird. This is a new version, a much more dangerous version of the CIA's Operation Mockingbird.
And it's actually a smart tactic for the establishment, because the government now has highly invested or in somehow inside, like the insiders of of big tech, basically all the companies of big tech, they work closely with the government. They have government grants, they have contracts. I mean, Amazon, I think they're still doing like their $500 million CIA contract or whatever. Maybe that was given to Microsoft now, who knows? But all the money goes around. So you set up big tech to control. The internet's there, so we need to, which is basically like decentralization, supposed to be for free speech and just free people, a way to communicate the beauty, the ethos of the original internet. And so we centralize all the communication and everything else on the internet. We the government invests all this money, so now it's not the government that's stifling free speech or all this stuff, or creating this weird thing that they did with Operation Mockingbird, where they're controlling the several networks. It's these private companies that are allowed to do that, because technically the government still is not allowed to do it, even though they break their own rules all the time. But I mean, man, what a great strategy to just stifle people online.
Absolutely. And by the way, if you're just joining us, Kingsley Edwards is talking. He's the CEO of Float.app, which is literally an alternative to YouTube. And I want to mention the toy guy says you use it though because it's amazing and does deserve some credit too. No, it did deserve credit a long time ago. And no, I don't use it because it's amazing. I use it to get people off this platform now. At this point, the whole idea is to get people off this platform, because they just, I countless hours of labor and work I put into this, thousands of videos, and they just take down videos left and right. They delete my content. They restrict it from being seen. Fuck them. Seriously. They are they are some of the worst people, the worst human beings, if they can even call themselves that. What they do to this very structure of humanity itself sickens me.
I mean,
so no, I don't think it's
the very fact that independent journalists like yourself have to, basically it's like Orwell's world right now, where you're covering current events. The mainstream, even on YouTube, is allowed to talk about shootings or riots or protests or the C word. I don't know if I could say it, but independent journalists have to change the words they say that come out of their mouths, just to beat the system.
Self-censorship.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's crazy. Well, but meanwhile, always in my YouTube autoplay is Fox News, Rachel Maddow, Anderson Cooper. It's like, I don't subscribe to any of these things, and you can't even like block the channels, which is just crazy because that's such a simple feature. But man, yeah, it's a bad situation right now. Luckily, we have things like Bitcoin, things like Float, things like BitChute and alternatives that are popping up, but we need them to go.
Yeah, I'm on Library too. I am on Library at Wham. I've been on Library since 2017, but I need them to figure some things out more, because right now it's better as just an alternative for you to store content on, but not as much to get content out, which is a problem. But yeah, I mean, I'm on BitChute. I'm on Float.app. It's all linked below, all the alternatives. It's just so frustrating because the harder I work, the more they crack down on me, and it's an insult not just to me, but everyone watching. They're basically nannying you and telling you what you should or should not see, and they are seriously some of the biggest culprits in this war against humanity. Just because something isn't the government, officially anyway, I think they probably are, but just because something isn't the government doesn't mean that it's not bad. People have this weird thing in a lot of the libertarian and anarchist communities to ignore something because it's a corporation. Why? If you're doing bad things, you should be called out, regardless of your government or not. I like freedom. I like individualism. I like demand of the market. I like people doing good things. I do not like people doing bad things. It's very simple. And yeah, people are mentioning, where can I find you on other platforms? It's all linked below. But yeah, I'm not on YouTube because I like YouTube. I'm on YouTube because people refuse to freaking leave. Refuse to leave YouTube. They refuse to go on other platforms. And the other platforms are getting better. I mean, Float.app has a huge community on it now, and a huge amount of people talking. And you got super chats and crypto and stuff. You got monetization on videos that I got to figure out soon. And all that kind of stuff. You actually reach people because there's no algorithm, but they're playing a game with us on these big platforms. And the fact that people won't leave is the most frustrating part. It's not that other platforms aren't growing fast enough. It's that people aren't going on other platforms for them to grow fast enough. And that's what pisses me off the most, is that people just refuse to freaking do anything. I feel sometimes like I'm poking, a dead animal in the woods, expecting it to get up and run away. And it's sad because it's never been more important. And people so I'm only on YouTube in order to get people off YouTube and reach the few people left that can actually see my content on here, and hopefully bring them information that puts them in a better place, not just financially, but also, as far as their freedom goes. It's all about truth and freedom to me. That's all it is about. And I don't negotiate with terrorists. So terrorists are defined as those who enforce or they spread their ideology via fear, whether that fear be the fear of force or not. It's spreading their ideology via fear, and that fear on YouTube is monetary, and them not allowing you to reach people. They use popularity as a form of fear, and it's absurd. And I care not about popularity. I care not about money, though it'd be nice if I could just make enough so I could live while doing this all day, every day. But I care about reaching people with the truth and reaching people with the ideas of freedom, and that's all that matters to me. And if the more that I do this kind of stuff, the more that they crack down. I got a message on Facebook today saying that they were going to take down my channel. I want to bring up that screenshot I shared on Facebook earlier. Yeah. It's so ridiculous because they basically said that my Facebook page is at risk of being disabled. And they won't say why. They're just like, either one of these, you may have been impersonating someone, which I wasn't, or you posted something that's misleading to someone or spammy. I'm like, well, I wasn't spamming because I barely share anything like on other pages other than my own profile. I still don't share that much on my profile. And then I didn't share anything misleading, but they won't show me what post they're talking about. So what am I supposed to do with that? Just stop talking? And that's the thing. They use fear of, oh, you'll lose your account, so don't say things anymore.
Yeah, here it is right here. Boom shakalaka.
Warning, your account is at risk of being disabled. It's against our community standards to pretend to be another person, real or fake, use more than one account. I've done none of that. And make comments or posts that mislead people. Comments even, so like you could say, I disagree, and they're like, oh, that's misleading. Seriously, it says, we may restrict or disable your account if you go against these or any of our other community standards again. They're in place to help keep Facebook safe and welcome for everyone. And I'm like, well, what is it? What post are you talking about? They won't tell me. There is no post that they will specify.
And on top of this, you are so shadow banned on Facebook. I mean, I see it there just as much as well, even more so on YouTube. But Facebook's really bad with you. I think I noticed that first, even before YouTube.
Oh man, it's terrible. And they took down videos, a lot of videos lately that I've been sharing. Including video footage literally from an Associated Press helicopter of the police breaking windows before protesters arrived of parked cars on the side of the road. It's right there in black and white. It's video, but they deleted the video. Tell me how that makes any sense. They deleted the video. They said that it goes against their community guidelines. How? They didn't specify how.
Yeah, and you see that time and time again. I mean, there's so many independent journalists, or now, I mean, there's crypto content creators that are getting attacked. There's this random segments, even people making like family videos on YouTube that are getting attacked and just demonetized, shadow banned, or just completely taken off the platform for again with no really justification. You're not even told what happened. Carrie Wedler is another example where she had, I think, over 50,000 followers on Twitter. She got an email that I believe literally said, like, you have been banned because of blank. So it's really a joke.
It's amazing. Yeah, and well, by the way, I just lost one of my main pledgers on Subscribestar. It's the alternative Patreon. I just lost one of the main ones, not because he unsubscribed, but because he didn't renew the subscription and they didn't notify him of it. So his subscription just disappeared. So that was a big one for me. It was one of the main people pledging on the platform. So anything helps, guys. Just $1 or more a month. I just got demonetized, and then that on top of it, it's just really not good. Anyway, I don't want to push the money thing, but it's all linked below in the description, and we need to stand up for independent media, if not myself, but maybe another independent media, but one way or another, we have to stand up for it now, or else we'll lose it, and we've already almost lost it. I know a lot of people that are so discouraged in independent media and are pretty much done even trying. And it's really sad, because that's how freedom and truth dies, with thunderous applause, because people don't care. And it's not just monetary, it's sharing too. So it's if you don't have money, I mean, that's fine. I mean, sharing helps too. Just anything that helps, I appreciate it. I know there's a lot of huge issues today with money, because the government forced everyone out of their jobs and forced everyone into their homes at gunpoint. It's insane, the times we live in.
Oh man, they keep chanting the same thing. Oh, take off your riot gear. That's what they're saying in Seattle.
Did you see that video of that girl going after those cops up in their face, offering them sex if they quit the force?
No.
And then she starts calling them all rapists and saying, "We all know that you rape prostitutes if you catch them out to get them out of jail time." And she's just like, she's zooming in on one cop's face. "I know you've done it. You've definitely done it before." And the cop starts laughing. So craziest thing. I posted earlier on Facebook. It's probably too inappropriate to post on YouTube, but nonetheless, it's like, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the news reporter that lost her eye after getting shot in the eye with a rubber bullet by a cop?
No. Where was that?
That was like a few days ago. And Reggie Watts was recently talking about it on Joe Rogan. I don't watch Joe Rogan much anymore, but a lot of this is just interesting to me because I know Joe Rogan has been a big fan of cops for years, and he's starting to really just rip them apart on his show. So it's worth watching. But yeah. Anyway, I don't know. Hit that like button if you haven't already. By the way, they announced today in Minneapolis that they're considering at City Council disbanding the police. If you guys didn't hear that earlier on the show, they're calling for possibly disbanding the entire police force. So that's quite interesting. I don't know. Maybe that'll become a trend. Who knows? We're watching all sorts of live streams here.
I have Judd's. Did Judd take this footage?
Yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, my favorite bar and restaurant in Hollywood, in LA, got burned down by the rioters. It was called Aroma Bar.
Oh, really?
It was on Sunset. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I wanted to mention this. If there's no riots tonight, there's no riots tonight. But if there are, it's impossible to find the feeds right now. They're shutting down feeds left and right, and you'll see everyone in the entire city, all their feeds go down at the same time. It's crazy. But it looks like there's some action in Portland tonight, and I know the second I turn off the feed, that's when it happens, and that's why I think keeping this feed on is actually saving lives right now. We're saving businesses. Anyway, yeah, let's pull up that video while we check on this stuff.
All right. Wish Facebook would work the way you wanted it to, but okay, here we go.
Working the way he wanted it to, as if that's gonna happen. Yeah, this is our friend Judd Wise, I believe, that took this in Los Angeles. It looks like something out of a Hollywood movie.
Yeah, here's the comment. Insane, feels like a well choreographed scene from a high budget dystopian film. Very real moment. So we believe that he took this. He's like one of the best photographers, really. Yeah. I mean, in the world, honestly.
Hit that like button.
Yeah, ready? Yippee-ki-yay. Oh, there's another.
Man, Facebook's glitchy.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just me, though.
I like the black and white. Yeah, that makes it dramatic.
Well, it literally looks like a... I don't know, man. Might want to stop that before it plays, because I posted a video earlier that was copyrighted. But yeah, it's crazy. It just looks like something out of a movie.
Yep.
There's certain people there's a couple troll comments in there that if I read, I could actually get killed. So I'm just not going to read some of those. Jacob Harlow says, so much COVID everywhere. It's spreading. And I'm also not going to call it the organization that's feeding all the hungry people here. To the person named Your Mom, they're literally feeding all the hungry people here. And I'm not going to call them out. They've been saving lives. Everything you know about them in the media, everything you know about them from shows like Breaking Bad is nonsense. But I'm not going to get into that today. We'll get into that another time. But yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of nonsense written in the media about certain entities in Mexico. Depends on which one you're talking about, but there's a lot of nonsense. I've been watching anonymous groups, quote unquote, bringing food for thousands of people to the churches and not saying who they are, while the government has been stealing from people, extorting people, and shutting down the flow of food to families in these insane times that we're living in. It's just absolutely despicable. But yet these anonymous groups are sending massive amounts of food to the food banks and massive amounts of food to the churches and not saying who they are. And people around here know who they are.
Do not call the police. Don't call them. That's what we are taught. Because why? They're going to get...
Carpe Diem says, I'm no troll. Read mine all out loud. Tell me your opinion. I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to, well, the guy named Your Mom. I was about to say, I was talking to your mom. Yeah.
You know, with a name like a username like that, you know, he's a troll.
Carpe Diem, prove anything I said wrong, please. I have no idea what you're talking about. I didn't see any of your comments.
We gotta make the change. This is changing us, but we need to keep the change. So we're starting the change here, but we need to keep it.
We're gonna keep the change. What does that mean?
That's
literally an oxymoron.
Yeah, that's true. Why are people not buying gas masks now?
Our voices matter. We can't let no one.
Yeah, why aren't people wearing eye protection too? After all the people who've lost eyes.
Yeah.
Why aren't people wearing helmets? After
yeah.
all the people, yeah. I mean, seriously.
I mean, this is a war.
Yeah, it really is a war, but it's such a wimpy war over the last couple days. I don't want to see chaos. I don't want to see small businesses burn, but also you can't just like slow down on your action when you got a massive government that kills millions of people at the top. I mean, with a military and everything. The same scenes out of Seattle every night. These people just sitting there with umbrellas, standing off with the police, day in, day out, all day, all night. It is the weirdest stream. Jessica Frost has been filming it nonstop, 24/7. It seems out of look at those images out of Portland, Oregon from earlier.
Wow, yeah. 7th night of protest.
But the images out of Seattle are just weird. Anyway,
you know what falls when you listen?
What do they call that again?
Jake,
when they copy what you say for like the leftists? Sound off or something? Is that what it's called? Sound off?
Sound off, yeah.
It's kind of coming in handy sometimes when there's actually like action, not when they're just doing this rah-rah stuff.
Yeah. Pick up garbage. Pick up garbage. Oh my god.
Sorry, go ahead.
Jacob Harlow says other protests in Mexico over small businesses being closed. Yes, and then today in Guadalajara there was a riot over the murder of a man by police for not wearing a mask. You could find it at hashtag Justicia per Giovanni on Twitter or Justice for Giovanni on Twitter. I did a video on it earlier today. You probably weren't notified of it, but you can find that there as well. Oh, there's fires burning in. We're about to find out.
In Periscope.
Are they just having a bonfire? I'm confused. Do they set the barricades on fire?
I can't tell what that is.
The authoritarian government in China killed thousands and thousands.
Oh, this guy's talking about China right now.
And I think, yeah, fuck that.
Wasn't the left like supporting China just a couple months ago?
Why we have to be out here? We can't let that shit fucking happen here. We can't let that shit happen anywhere. Whose streets?
Our streets.
Oh god. Oh god. This is when you run out of things to say. Your streets are. I hate that. I hate that chant because it's also a communist.
If you ever pick up a bullhorn in a protest, I'm just gonna start chants above whatever you're saying.
That's what this is about. We all have.
No, so this is Seattle too, where this fire.
So it looks like they lit some kind of barricades on fire in the road.
People over property. People over property. People over property.
Oh god.
See, these are these simple things.
See, they got people chanting people over property now. When it started off as, an anti-government movement, and now it's people over property. I'm not saying that people are more important than their property. That doesn't mean you should burn their freaking property. Go after. I mean, if you're gonna go after something, why not the government buildings? Like seriously. Those are the people that are literally doing this stuff. Your mom and pop bakery and bookstore aren't killing people in the millions. Like, come on. What are your priorities?
Do we figure out the significance of the umbrella crowd in Seattle at this like it seems like a nightly standoff? Is this the same standoff here in the top right? They've been having for the last couple nights. Now the cops keep moving back actually.
Whose lives matter?
I'm
going to say this again. I keep on talking about political correctness.
Whose lives matter? All lives. Did they just shout all lives?
For what it has done to make it so that a lot of bigots
Yeah.
don't think it's an
They're
okay
all
place to
ours.
just go on with their bigotry. Am I right or am I right? It has taught a lot of lessons, it has. Am I right or am I right? But we need the next movement after the PC
That's not a
movement.
fair question.
We don't need PC police just starting shit up and turning shit up and getting us against each other. We don't need that.
Thank you.
We need to bring it together, and this is the movement of education. Say that again. Education. Make some noise. Fuck it. Make some noise.
Education, fuck it.
Now, instead of turning around and slapping the shit out of people that are ignorant, instead of saying, shut the fuck up.
Chicago says,
bitch.
"Good night, everyone. I'm going to bed. I have
Instead
a
of
job. I
saying
need to
things
go
like
to
that,
it tomorrow." Peace. Yeah.
What do we do?
Good to see you.
What do we do? What do we do? You understand me? These are white allies. And I swear to God, I am looking forward to the day that I don't even call this nigga white anymore. You
So we just got word that there so far are no riots or protests, I guess, in
friends that
downtown
have
Las
gone
Vegas.
through the test, and I've seen them turn in their white card or use their white card for black people and other people of color. My friends that have shown me day in and day out that they don't just turn it off and on unless it's for us, unless it's for other minorities. My friends
Whoever's
that
filming in the
have
middle
shown me,
needs to
shown
hold
me that
still
they
for a
are
second.
really here, they're really allies. I don't even call them
Like-
white anymore. I call them pale pink.
He's filming like he needs to go to the bathroom or something.
You understand
He's
me?
just like
I
spinning
cannot
or
wait
something.
till that's not even a thing. Because you understand, I'm gonna break this down real quick. Every time that we say white people, we're feeding into this club, and this little club that is not inclusive.
See, I like these
that you
speeches.
can only belong to if you're white, pristine,
Unity.
white, perfect, white, clean, white magic. It's the magic that's not bad. Black magic is the magic that's evil and bad. Am I right? That's not right though, is it? No, it's not. We need to be careful. We need to be mindful. 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 Mindful.
Finish your speech.
We need to listen to what our words say. We need to listen to the words that they put on us. What do they say in the news? They call us thugs. They call us thugs. I don't see no thugs here. I don't see any thugs. The president's a thug.
All presidents
All
are.
government. Yeah, all government is
And they are.
full of.
They are. We don't even need. We'll move in silence with them. I'm not even talking to them.
We already have anarchy. There's just a
We on
criminal
something
gang
different.
walking around supporting people, and some people
Now
praise
listen, I
them.
look forward to when we stop doing that. You understand me? You guys gotta look through the history. I'm gonna make it super simple, and it's gonna be kind of gross. It's not gonna be all the way on point, but just do the history. Look at my work, cite it, all that. Check the site. Listen. So pretty much back in the day, you had all kinds of people from different countries, and then pretty much America is like an experiment. It sent some people out here. They're like, well, fuck it, go ahead and see what you got there, right? They went over here. We know what happened. They fucked up a lot of shit. They killed a lot of Native American brothers and sisters. They killed almost all of them.
Jacob Carlos says other countries are laughing at us. Well, to be fair, there's
Genocide.
protests in almost
They
every
burnt them
country now.
down. They raped, they pillages. They burnt everything. They burnt the whole city down. They took it away. You understand me? But then what they did was they tried to make America into a place that was great for them. So when we say America, when they say,
And let's just
make
talk
America
about
great
again
again,
Minneapolis, for
That is
instance.
the-
I
that is the
mean,
most
apparently, it seems like they have been
disgusting thing I've heard in a long
without
time.
any police or even EMT or even, I guess, firefighters for now over a week. And it's, I mean, I know things are burnt down because of the rioters. But for the
Yeah.
most part, I mean, it seems like they're still surviving with all these government resources and agencies that are non-essential.
Yeah, it's funny that I think a big breaking point was when they started telling everyone that all these businesses were non-essential, but these bureaucrats that sit around doing nothing most of the day other than stealing people's money and pushing paper that is just based on stupid laws that they created, that they forced themselves into this regime of pushing paper over and over again. It was a breaking point when they called everyone non-essential, but they deemed themselves essential, and they were literally doing almost nothing other than just sitting there and pushing paper. And I think a lot of people woke up to, wow, they can just decide who's essential. And if you're not essential, you're not important. And if you're not important, you just get shut down. You're not allowed to do things, and you'll go to jail in place of the people that they took out of jail that were murderers. They release all these murderers from jail and then start putting women in jail for going to the park with their kids. I mean, and or opening up a shop to feed their family. Oh, it's selfish. Now none of this is selfish. I mean, most of these people don't know why they're protesting. It's a good cause to go after the police. Honestly, it is. It really is, and it should have happened a long time ago. But just the hypocrisy involved is absolutely absurd, and the privilege card that people are playing is absolutely absurd too. Because I guess the people that are privileged are the ones that go to jail for protesting. The ones that aren't privileged are the ones that are able to be out in numbers of thousands, shoulder to shoulder, and there's no one being called selfish. Even though it doesn't actually have to do with them personally necessarily, though it does, it's government, but necessarily they're talking about one person getting killed when the shutdowns killed, will, once all is said and done, have killed millions of people. And that is wrong to protest, but the one person dying is okay. I think this really says a lot about the double standards and the double speak. It's very Orwellian.
Now listen.
But nonetheless, it shouldn't be left or right or black or white or whatever they want to make it. It is people versus government, freedom versus slavery, good versus evil. But I thought I'd bring it up because it's something that has been making me think a lot lately. Steve Francis, wonder if Koreans have to deal with Korean privilege to all the immigrants. Well, I don't know. Asia has a whole different demeanor when it comes to, it depends where in Asia, but mostly Eastern Asia has a very different demeanor when it comes to racism. They just banned black guys at a McDonald's in China.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know the U.S. has its issues, but from my travels, I mean, I've seen Muslims and darker-skinned people just get harassed by police in Paris and France. I've seen, definitely in Asia, it seems like, Korea, obviously, South Korea hates, obviously, North Korea, but I believe also, China, and then everyone hates Japan. So there's racial tension.
I've been in some places where, honestly, my life was so at risk for being there, being a white guy. But the thing is, people are the same everywhere. People are decent. It's a government that fucks everything up.
Yeah, for the most part. And what you said just regarding the non-essential government workers, there was this meme that I shared a couple days ago. It's your daily reminder that the people prohibiting you from working haven't missed a paycheck.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Oh man, I'll never forget when I was hitchhiking through Africa, having this bag full of thousands of dollars worth of video equipment that I took out to do this documentary, and man, I had to leave it alone in a vehicle for about 5 hours. Some random guy paid $150. 3 of us went. We all paid him $50 each to drive us 17 hours. And over there, the money that he could have sold that stuff for would have allowed him to live for the rest of his life without ever having to work. And he could have stolen it. And if I was in LA, they would have stolen it. If I was in Chicago, they would have stolen it. But he did not steal it. He stayed true to his word, and by the end of it, he lost money getting us to our destination.
Did you tip him?
I couldn't. He just took off. He didn't give me an opportunity. He pushed us in the back of the slave van. But anyway, he just disappeared. I couldn't pay him anymore. It saddened me.
Good excuse.
No, but I mean, the point is, people are the same everywhere, and in some places they have a moral standard that might even be higher.
Do Canadians tip well?
Yeah, 15 to 20 usually. It's usually 15 to 20%. Italy is horrible. It's like 5%. If that, some people don't tip at all, and it's not even, I've had Italians get mad at me for tipping them.
Yeah, I've had that in France too, and I'm like, I'm American, I don't care. I'm tipping you. I don't care if you think it's an insult for me to give you money. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like, dude, you make almost no money. Like, I'm trying to help you out here.
I mean, some of them make, I think $15-20 an hour, maybe 25 even, because they have
Yeah,
a
price
higher
of
minimum
living.
wage or whatever. But
Yeah, but the price of living in Europe is terrible.
I mean, I just couldn't imagine getting mad at someone for them giving me money.
I'm like, oh, I did a good job. All right. Well, and then there's like, I've noticed that in Spain they'll take the tips, but it's usually about 10% on average. And in Greece it's around 10% too. But Italy is just so unbelievably low. It's just crazy. When I tipped 20% in Africa, that also blew their minds. They're like, wait, what? I had one guy where was it? I think I might have been in Turkey somewhere, and I tipped them 20%, and it really wasn't much. But the guy looked like he was gonna start crying. He's like, wow, really? Like, yeah, it's like I tipped him like $4.
Listen to me. You can guess where I probably came from.
Bad.
A little twang in my voice.
We're very lucky wherever we are. We're very lucky people, and we should recognize that, including all those people at that protest, black or white.
Well, that's the thing too, is that the U.S. I mean, well, even just U.S. and Canada are really represent the, along with other major nations in Europe and across the world, represent the true 1%. Whatever kind of class you're in the U.S. I mean, maybe not, homeless or completely bankrupt or poor, but but I mean, we're definitely, I'm very excited to be born in America, to be honest, even though we have our issues.
Well, there's in a lot of cases, it's better to be homeless in Las Vegas than it is to be with a job in certain parts of Africa that I've been to. And I know it's that old, starving kids in Africa. And look, it's all based on your perception and what you've been conditioned to. But obviously, what people have been dealing with in the United States is absolutely horrific, especially over the last few months. Not denying that. Point is, we need to have some perception, something to compare things to, because there are so many people at these events that think they're such huge victims, and they are victims of the government, and everyone everywhere in the world is. But if they had perspective and actually went to some of the places I've been, there's no way they would consider themselves a victim. They'd feel like kings, queens, whatever. Anyway. The British reactor too says the IDF train American police. Yeah, many of them. Not all of them, but many of them. It's not the case for every cop. But yeah, that's definitely true.
Some people not we. Some people are saying white people be quiet, shut up. And then other times we're saying white silence is violence.
This guy looks so weak right now. Oh my God, he looks so defeated.
Now, interrupting people, I understand that, but that's basic humanity. Don't interrupt people. That's disrespectful as shit. But once we start saying white people, we start dividing. You understand me? And we also start giving them power. We also start giving power to the people who are actually taking the fullest advantage of white privilege, and that's the 1% up there. They don't even give a fuck about my brother right here at all. They don't give a fuck about him. You understand me? And it's crazy too, because they don't give a fuck about him. They give less fucks about us because it's more convenient, because they know if they set things up so it doesn't give a fuck about her, then it's definitely not going to touch anything that looks even close to their son. But they don't give a fuck about him either. That's why we're here together. And we need all of our voices. All of our voices are powerful. We saw our person over here that got up here, and he said he didn't want to speak, or I'm not sure what pronoun he goes by, or what pronoun. But they said that they did not want to speak.
Oh my God!
Because they're
what
not
pronoun he goes by.
But they got up here and they spoke, and it was fucking good. Wasn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, well, I guess we've been on for a while.
Hit that at your bedtime.
He got up here.
Well, I still have to edit a video tonight, and then I have to go to bed and wake up early, post a video, and then meet up with Brian Forster,
Nice.
the one and only, who's now here in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico.
Okay. So you want to
I just
stop
hate
it?
the virtue signaling. I can't stand it. He is preaching something good in a way, but then at the same time, He's making this guy look so weak.
It's not the perfect message. Well, I mean, I think it's the
Literally
guy.
talking down to him. He's literally he's standing above him. He's talking down to him. I don't know. It just bugs me because they keep making it about race. They're like, we shouldn't make it about race, but then they make it about race.
Well, I think you hear different speakers. You see some speakers saying Black Lives Matter, yelling racist things at white people, and then you have, I think some better speakers that may not be perfect, but at the very least they're talking about unity, and so I don't know. I agree with it for the most part.
Yeah, I agree with much of what he said. It's just like you got to make sure people recognize a root issue.
No one's as smart as Josh Sigurdson from Winnipeg, Canada. Okay, like we gotta deal with what we've been dealt.
Yeah, well,
until we're out there. Which
Boise, Idaho, good old Boise. It's a really high def video.
These guys,
are they rapping?
Is this the
like
Proud
a
Boys?
rap video?
Yeah, they look.
No, it's just their local.
They look like good kids.
Their local Antifa, but that bank behind them was called Zion's Bank. I'm sure that doesn't get a few people riled up. Anyway, sorry,
You had to go there.
I had to go there. Anyway, I appreciate everyone watching. Hit that like button, share on social media, and join me tomorrow. I got big videos going up tomorrow. I put up a really big video today on police breaking windows on video. The video keeps getting taken down from Facebook and YouTube. Make sure to check out my video on police caught on video breaking windows from an Associated Press helicopter. They keep taking these videos down, and they called it they said it was against the community guidelines and goes against community standards, and also fact checkers when people shared my video 10 seconds after I posted it on Facebook. Like, they didn't have time to review it, but they say the fact checkers have decided that the video is false, but it was like literally within 10 to 20 seconds after I posted it. Anyway, lots of sense.
Do you want me to cut to the camera to say your final words, or?
Yeah, let me turn my camera on.
Make sure you look nice and pretty for the camera.
So tired. So don't mind.
I'm gonna stop sharing screen
Is it
here. Hold on one second. It's still off.
Can't tell.
There you go.
There we go.
There you go. Fix your hair.
Hola. ¿Cómo estás? Anyway, so yeah, I got to get working on videos before I go to bed tonight, but always good to check in on what's going on with these protests, because we are witnessing history take place before our eyes, and it's good that we kind of document it as we go and call out the nonsense as we see it and praise the good things that a lot of people are doing at the same time. The fact of the matter, and what you see from these videos, is independent on the ground video. It shows that these aren't all riots. 99% is peaceful. Whether or not you agree with them or not is besides the point. And that really is something I like to take away from these streams, because the mainstream media is basically claiming that all of these protesters are either Antifa, rioting, killing, cops and burning down buildings. And then on the other side, it's Proud Boys and white supremacists. And, they show them kneeling with cops, which is super lame. And then 10 seconds later on the same broadcast shows buildings burning down and saying that the protesters are instigating it. And we see on these live streams, when the riots do break out, that the cops are literally shooting tear gas at the people when they're just standing there doing nothing. So it really does give you a different narrative than what the media is telling you is a narrative. Anyway, any final words tonight, Kingsley?
Thanks for having me on. And don't forget, if you haven't yet, joinfloat.com is one URL you can go to, or you can just go to the main site, flot.app, float.app. We do not censor your freedom of speech online at Floats. And if you don't know yet, I am the CEO, and we got some big updates here coming this month. We actually just also announced, or we haven't announced it yet, but we have secured some more funding to keep us going. We are starting to hire more devs too, so we can build faster, bigger things, and bring it to you, so we can take down the big tech conglomerates that are in bed with governments. That is Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Pretty much all of them. Even Pinterest, I think, and a bunch of others, especially Nextdoor app. I know a lot of people are using Nextdoor app nowadays, and I believe that it was invested in by George Tenet, who is the former director of the CIA. So I don't trust that type of thing. We don't have the investors that these other people do.
Wait. You don't trust companies that are invested in by some of the heads of the CIA? What's wrong with you? What are you, like a conspiracy theorist or something?
I mean, yeah, call me crazy, but I mean, I might take their money if there's no strings attached, but we're not planning on it anytime soon. I don't think they're interested in dealing with us unless it's some sort of like assassination plot against me eventually. But whatever, we're not that important yet, and so while we still are not that important, please make sure to join Flow. And again, I appreciate it, Josh, for having me on, even though I am running this for you, so you should be thanking me.
Yeah, well, and I appreciate that as well, and I appreciate everyone joining us tonight. Freedom, it says, do you guys have D Live? I did until they took down all my videos a few years ago, and I boycotted them. Then there's that guy that says RIP Joe Rogan. Everyone's been saying that lately. He's not dead. Anyway. And then Sina Algeria says, win American elections. What date? Well, it's supposed to be in November, but I have a feeling the federal elections are going to be pushed off. Vention MGTOW. Thank you, everyone that has joined us tonight. Jacob Harlow, Steve French, all of you guys. I appreciate it. And we'll be back to you guys with much more. Hopefully, we'll be able to cover a lot more of this in the future. Things are calming down in some places and then heating up in other places. It's almost like they would destroy one city and go on to the next, destroy another city, go on to the next. But there's a lot of good that comes with this, and we're trying to weed out all the nonsense and try to give you the right picture of what's happening right now, because we are living in a very historic time, without a doubt. Anyway, I appreciate everyone watching. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Share on social media. Join us tomorrow with our new videos, and check the videos I posted in the last 24 hours. I've posted a bunch, and they've been really hidden in the algo from people actually watching. Join us on float.app, flote.app, and of course, join me on BitChute. Check those links below. Join our new newsletter at iamband.com to get email updates, and I guarantee you we don't spam it, so don't worry there. Anyway, I appreciate everyone joining us, and until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson with Kingsley Edwards signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
And just one last thing before we end the stream. I'm pretty sure I'm tanner than you. Sorry.
No, I'm definitely not. I got a white light in front of me. I'm definitely more